Our guest on this episode was not only influenced by Elvis, but by those that performed behind him. He utilized his talents as a studio musician and tribute band performer to impact the next generation of Elvis fans. Highly influenced by lead guitarist James Burton, he provides insight on his musical journey.
Ladies and gentlemen, please welcome to the stage Heitor Crespo.
Hi, I'm Rob. I'm the president of the Always Elvis fan club. We're here with Heitor. He is a musician playing on a tribute artist show. Welcome to Studio E.
Thank you.
We're here at the Wind Creek Hotel and Event Center. And Heitor, where's your background? Give us a little bit on that.
Obviously, the Elvis part was really evident through my musical background. I pretty much listened to everything that was recorded like in the 50s, 60s.
Okay.
I love that Phil Spector's Wall of Sound. So everything that the Wrecking Crew recorded back in the day, they were the band that did a bunch of studio work
Right.
in the 60s and 70s in LA. So that's kind of where I push my sounds from.
Okay. So just to be clear, Heitor is a guitarist, kind of doing the James Burton aspect of the show, but he's also a drummer. He's multi-talented musician. So where did the musician background come from? A family member or took lessons when you were younger?
Well, my dad was a musician back in the 60s.
Okay.
And then he stopped playing for a while. So whenever I was home, whenever I was a kid growing up, I always had multiple musical instruments around the house. So I was free to just
All right.
grab them and try to play them. So,
Okay. So obviously there's some family influence on the guitar part.
absolutely. Yeah.
And then where did the Elvis part come in?
That's from my mom's side.
From your mom's side?
Yeah. So
Okay.
basically my dad had the musical instruments and my mom was a huge Elvis fan.
Okay.
Since it was like 11, 12-ish. So yeah, basically as I was growing up, I always had my mom playing Elvis records and my dad with the instruments. So I just combined them both.
So that's a good combination to lead
Yeah.
you to this part of your career.
Absolutely.
So we talked about your influence in music, and you're playing the part of James Burton. You're the lead guitarist. Any background with James Burton? I kind of know that, but tell the audience your connection with James Burton and where your love is for that.
I got to meet James back in 2007, I think it was. I was about 15. And he came up to Brazil to play a gig. And me and my mom went to see him.
Okay.
And I got there super early, got to meet him.
Oh,
and,
wonderful.
He invited me to go to sound check. So I got to watch sound check and see him, doing his thing. And at the time, he had a road manager with him that had hosted some exchange students. So then he invited me to be an exchange student. So then the next year, I lived for a year in the U.S.
Oh, wow.
Having that contact with him for a while. So, it was great.
Mm-hmm.
It was great.
So he was part of that learning curve for the music.
Absolutely,
Was he in there?
yeah. I mean, I always, since I was a little kid, I never wanted to be Elvis.
Mhm.
So every time I remember me being like 2-3 years old watching the Aloha, and most kids would just grab the mic and try to be Elvis or the hair like
Right.
Elvis and everything. But for me, it was always the pink guitar caught my attention, and I
Right.
always wanted to be a backing musician. I always wanted to play with Elvis.
Right.
So I kind of always had that feeling.
Right.
So he definitely played like a big role in that.
Okay. You got the James Burton influence. You start playing guitar. So where did the connection come to actually performing in with tribute artists? Obviously, you're on a bigger stage now in your career, but tell us a little bit about the earlier stages and how you got going from meeting James Burton and loving the music, and then going into that earlier part of your career.
So me and my mom in São Paulo, there's a huge fan club there.
Okay.
he called Gang Elvis, which is
Okay.
Elvis's gang, but in Portuguese with flip
Okay. Okay.
grammatically. Every couple months or so, they would have the fan club meetings. Sometimes the Elvis guys would go over there to tributes, and they would play with tracks and do like a 1 hour presentation. And then one tribute artist brought a band, and I was about 8 years old, I think. And I remember watching the band
Oh,
and being like, "Oh, you can play the song
yeah.
live. It's not
Right.
only tracks; you can actually learn the parts, and there's a band out there that plays it."
Hmm.
And I remember getting really excited about that because I was already having kind of guitar lessons with my dad.
Okay.
So I was already learning some Elvis songs. In my head, I was like connecting the dots, like, I want to do this. I want to play in the fan club meetings.
Hmm.
So my mom talked to a tribute artist, and it took a little bit of time until they actually gave me a
Agreed.
chance. But I was about 11, and they let me play one of the fan club meetings. And I played that gig with them. And from there on, he started getting gigs like in theaters in Brazil and stuff like that. And I would travel with them
At
quite a
11.
bit. At 11, I started, yeah.
Wow.
So the
It's
deal was
amazing.
basically had to keep the grades at least with a B in
Hmm.
school and never skip a test. And they would drive me to the gigs in the weekend. So my mom would drive me around to go to the gig. I would play a gig and
Wow.
then go back home.
So
So,
Mama's pushing you the Elvis way.
oh yeah,
Dad got you the guitar. Mama's pushing you to the Elvis
absolutely.
tribute artist.
Yeah, and I'm really thankful for that. I mean, it was cool. But from then on, it just started getting bigger and bigger, and the tribute artist world in Brazil started to develop. Then I had that year that I lived in the U.S. as an exchange student, and through that year, I got to meet Sean Clush,
Hmm.
and Dan Lentino, and everybody. So came back to Brazil for a couple of years still because I was underage at the time, and then they finally had like a tour in South America back
Oh,
in 2012, I think it was, and they invited me to play the guitar on that gig, and that's how everything just changed.
changed from there. And I can speak from seeing you perform and the talent that you have. I could see that talent started off at an early age. So really well for yourself.
People are very passionate about Elvis, and I think it's the factor that Elvis never got to visit that country.
Sure.
So whenever a show like that comes in, it's kind of like you're bringing Elvis closer to them. Most of them never had a chance to go, visit Graceland or do anything like that.
Hmm.
So they come to the show like really happy. It's their contact
Right.
with Elvis. So we do quite a bit. Europe we do like twice a year,
Hmm.
and Australia we do quite a bit as well. So it's it's a lot of traveling.
Hmm.
It's a lot of traveling for
Yeah.
sure. But
Yeah. 2022, a movie came out by Baz Luhrmann, brought Elvis to the forefront again. What first of all, what did you think of the Baz movie in general?
so the movie for me, um, I think the positive effect that generated into this Elvis world was incredible. I think that the movie, they weren't exact so much in those details, but I
Hmm.
think the movie was successful on giving you the feeling of a certain time period.
Hmm.
So I think that emotionally gets you to that mindset of what was happening during a certain period of Elvis's life.
Right. So I think you're exactly right. I think the movie did a real good job of bringing the new generation fans in there.
And I mean, every biopic movie will have that from fans. Like I watched Bohemian Rhapsody, and for me, it was like this breakup point of like, oh, Queen was like great like this. It made me go listen to Queen quite a bit. I didn't like really took a deep dive to learn things, but whenever they were producing the movie, I was going through an Elvis forum, and they were talking about how they were afraid that the movie would do something like Bohemian Rhapsody. I thought the movie was great,
Hmm.
but there's actually a forum line for Queen as well that they're pointing every
Right.
chronological mistake and every little detail. But when it's something that it's reaching the mainstream, I guess the important thing, it showed how gigantic Queen was, how the hit songs were there. It got people to go listen to Queen,
Hmm.
and I think that the Elvis movie was the same thing. It showed
Right.
how gigantic and iconic Elvis was, and it got people to learn that there were, I mean, if we're roughly like analyzing Elvis's career, like there's three Elvises. There's Elvis in the '50s, the rebel and what he was going through, and then there's the movie years that
Right.
he got stuck, and then there's the coming back and the Vegas years, the concert years. Like it's three different artists in one person.
Yeah.
So I think that the movie showed that. So it was fun because you had people saying, "I like Elvis in the '50s better.
Hmm.
I like Elvis in the '70s better." Like,
Hmm.
and they understood that it was an artist developing his style through the years, and now we can see the whole scenario because
Yeah.
it's gone. But I think the movie was really well into that and pushing people to go listen to Elvis. I mean, he broke, Spotify records and everything after the movie, and
Yeah.
that's incredible.
Yeah. How Elvis performed a song in 1969 or 1970 might be different how he performed it in 1975, right? So, Polk Salad Alley, he does a little monologue at the beginning. 75, he brings some horns in. I'm sure there's someone here that kind of does the arrangements, but so can you kind of tell us how that works through in your performance and how that building up of a production of a show happens?
So from my side, I do try to listen to as many recordings as I can. Like I
Mhm.
have a huge bootleg collection. I listen to audience recordings, like really bad audience recordings from time to time.
Hmm.
But you never know what's gonna come out of the recorder.
Right.
If I hear an interesting guitar lick there, I want to learn it. If it's some, from a song or another, I kind of add like in a library in my head, and I always
Hmm.
try to divide like, okay, I have some, 1970 licks, I have 71, because not only Elvis changed, but the musicians changed as well. They
Hmm.
changed the gear that they were using. So James used different amps. He switched guitars from 69 to 70. That's when the Pink Paisley came in, but he had the Red Telecaster before,
Before that,
and
yeah.
it had a different sound. The way they
Hmm.
had his settings was different. He did a lot of modifications on the Pink Paisley guitar, like electronics and pickup changes, and all those little push buttons that he added. So James changed his sound as well. So
Hmm.
you kind of got to study how he changed. Sometimes, for example, he was out on a tour with Elvis, then he had a recording session with Emmylou Harris, like mid 70s, and then the lick that he does in the session, he took on the road with Elvis and fit in an Elvis song.
Oh, okay.
So I always try to go back and listen to the recordings that he was doing in the studio as well, because sometimes you can't hear well in an audience recording on a bad soundboard,
Hmm.
but you get a song that he recorded the week before with Emmylou Harris, and the licks right
Okay.
there clear, in another key and everything, but the basic of the lick is there to show you what he did with Elvis. So
Hmm.
it's like a puzzle. It's like
Hmm.
putting together a puzzle. Now, when you bring to the tribute shows, you kind of got to analyze what's the purpose of the show, because you do have bands that they're very authentic, and you do have Elvis guys that they want to do the show exact like it was. They
Hmm.
want like, oh, we're gonna do the recreation of the Aloha. I want exact like Aloha. Or when we're playing festivals, there's an ultimate tribute artist called Jay Dupuy,
Hmm.
and Jay is very particular to things because he likes doing the research, but he's more of the Elvis side of it. So he likes the jumpsuit. He likes to match the jumpsuit with the ring that Elvis was wearing, with the necklace, with
Okay.
the songs that I'm gonna do. So when you have someone like that going through that research, you want to kind of follow that in the show.
Right.
So we did a show once with him that he had that two-piece suit that Elvis wore in Chicago, for example.
Hmm.
So I tried to bring licks from the Chicago show that I remember that James
Oh,
did,
interesting.
just to
Hmm.
it's like a Elvis nerd geeky moment, but
Hmm.
it's like if this person went through all this hassle to research this, well, I went through a hassle to research this too, so might as well just put
Put
together
it
in the
together.
show.
Hmm.
So when shows like that happen, I can bring more of James Burton. When we do this open shows for like the mainstream public, like when we do this big casino rooms, I
Hmm.
mean, half of the place will be Elvis fans, but maybe 10, 15 of them will know details and be like, oh, I have a bootleg back home, or,
Hmm.
I know this tour from July 75.
Right. Right.
But most of them, they want to hear Teddy Bear, Love Me Tender, Suspicious Minds.
Yeah.
So then it's more of a thing for myself. So if the band is not as authentic, I'll try to punch in as much as James Burton as I can. And to make it different every night, it really depends on what I heard before.
Hmm.
Like if I'm getting ready in my hotel room and I punch in a bootleg or a show,
Hmm.
and then that's fresh in my mind, then I bring the show. Or like in case with Sean, I usually try to match the jumpsuit. So if he's wearing a 74 jumpsuit, I'm going to try to bring in 74 guitar licks.
Right.
If he's wearing a 72 one, I'll bring back to 72. So
Yeah.
that's kind of how I approach
Yeah.
things, just to make fun for me as well. Because if not, it's the same set list every night.
Hmm.
It's the same show every night. You got to make it different. You got to
Yeah.
make it fun.
One of the bigger things that's happened over the decades is, Elvis performing on a large screen with a live band,
Yeah.
right? And I was fortunate enough to see that show in 1997 with the
Nice.
TC band and everybody. Obviously he doesn't do that show anymore, but through those years, even those shows for the original TCB band changed musically.
Oh yeah, yeah. Because I mean, they are artists in their own. Like James is a big session musician.
Mhm.
So to be a session musician, you gotta be relevant. Like your guitar tone, your guitar licks, they gotta follow what you're creating. And James created everything. So for him, it's not like a thing like for me, like, oh, I want to copy that because I love that year or I love that show. I want to do exactly like that. For him, he doesn't remember what he did in 72,
Hmm.
but it's him.
Hmm.
Like it's a different arrangement, but you hear him playing on the big screen show and you're like, okay, that's James Burton that I'm hearing.
Hmm.
Like
Oh yeah,
Renita, you're hearing this like, yeah,
yeah,
that's Renita
yeah.
playing. I got to see that big screen show back in 2013, 2012, 2013. I saw both years. And I remember that I got so happy because I'm not really a fan of his new signature model with the three pickups. He
Okay.
has a Tele with three pickups, and that kind of changed his sound quite a bit. And
Hmm.
I'm more of a fan of his 70s, 80s
Okay.
sound. So for me, second year, he couldn't bring his signature guitar, so they borrowed him like a regular Telecaster. And for me, that was incredible because it was seeing James playing just a regular Telecaster, just like he would have used with Elvis
With
with the
Elvis.
two single coil pickups. And I was like, it changed his sound that night. It was
Mhm.
different from the last screen. It was closer to the 70s.
Right.
So for me, that was the best experience ever, just to be able to see him playing like a regular Fender Telecaster,
Right.
not his fancy signature, but actually doing that.
Right.
So those little details, like most people will not pay attention, but for me, that was like, oh great, he's playing a regular Telecaster. It's
Right,
nothing
right.
fancy. It's just him being him straight in the amp.
Yeah.
So it changes through the years for sure.
We talked about the big screen. 97 for me was, I was there with my uncle. He said this is the closest you're ever going to get to Elvis Presley. All the original band was there, the sound was there. But you also perform in Tupelo
Yes.
at an event there, and they also utilize that technology with Elvis on the screen.
Yeah.
So tell us about your experience getting to do that, what James Burton's done. Not only he did it with Elvis, he did it with Elvis on the screen, and you had that opportunity too. Tell us a little bit about that.
I always had a dream of doing the big screen show. Like, I love the tribute artist world, but I wanted to play with Elvis. It's the closest that I could get to Elvis. And that opportunity finally came during the Tupelo Elvis Festival. It was their 25th anniversary. So they actually brought like a 50, 60 piece orchestra. And we
Wow.
did this special show, and then the show would end with Elvis performing. And the first year we did like American Trilogy, Hound Dog, Blue Suede Shoes from That's the Way It Is, which was really fun. And then end the show with My Way. So having the orchestra behind you, just like he had in Vegas, and hearing his voice right from the monitor. And usually I don't go with monitors on stage.
Hmm.
I got used to not having monitors, and I mean I know the songs all my life. And in
Mhm.
a sense, I kind of like that vintage feel to it of
Right.
not having the monitor in front of me. And finally, I got a monitor because Elvis was going to sing, and I wanted to hear his voice like right in my face.
Hmm.
So that it just felt different. Even though he's not there, he was guiding me. Even though I watched the video all my life, I was still looking in the screens that they had. They had little TVs in front of us so we could see his moves. I was still looking and watching his movements.
Hmm.
So it was weird because like I know those videos back in my head.
Right.
Like I've watched so many times, but it made me feel an urgency of like I gotta watch him. Whatever he's doing, I'll follow, even though I know those videos. So it was insane. Like we were playing this arena in Tupelo, the Bancorp Arena, and you could hear the echo from his voice hitting the back wall and coming back. You could hear like that reverb, from
Okay.
the arena,
Yeah.
and you can hear the orchestra hitting hard, and everything was in place. And I mean, that first year was incredible. And then the second year, we did a little bit more songs, but it was so much fun. Like we
Mhm.
got to do one song that we didn't even rehearse because usually what happens, the drummer has a click track in his ear, and
Okay.
then he's keeping the time. I didn't start any songs on that second year, so I didn't need a click track, so I could just let it happen organically. But we didn't have time to rehearse all the songs.
Okay.
So some of those songs were just happening as we go, live, and I was calling. But we did like You've Lost That Loving Feeling. And that song was so much fun to play with Elvis
Mhm.
and seeing his moves and everything. Everybody in the band was so focused on following him and, doing everything from the time, because every musician on that stage, they learned from the TCB band, from the backup singers and everything.
Mhm.
So we're all trying to recreate as much as we could that feeling and sound. So it was incredible. Like we did The Wonder of You, and that for me was a full circle moment because that was the first song I learned on the guitar.
Okay.
So it was the first James Burton solo I tried to learn on the guitar was The Wonder of You. and then all of a sudden I'm playing with Elvis in his hometown.
Yeah.
And that was, I had my phone like doing a little live feed so my mom could watch it and everything, because
Oh,
that's
that's
her
great.
favorite song as well. So it was, it's different. It's different. And then honestly, it's kind of hard to get out of that and then go back into the regular gigs. Like I remember that both years I struggled a little bit because I mean the tribute guys, they do their best. They're Elvis fans. They're following the emotion, but you're not listening to Elvis's voice. So I remember like the first time I played Wonder of You after that, or You've Lost a Living Feeling after that show, my thought was like, man, I wish I was back there. Like I wish I was back listening to Elvis, or I wish it was another big screen show. So you kind of have that thing because you get addicted to it.
Yeah.
You definitely get it. I can't wait for the next time that I get to do that. So it's you're home. You feel you're home. It's like everything you studied all your life, it's for that moment. And then when you're doing that, it's just this great feeling that you're hearing his voice. It's him.
Sure.
It's that message. And it can be Elvis on the screen, but the audience is different because it's Elvis on the screen. You can see the emotion, that he can carry, even 47 years after his passing. You put his recording, it will still hit people the way that only he could do it.
Yeah, because you got to understand those fans out there. I never got to see Elvis perform live, but my uncle said that's the closest you're ever going to get, and he saw Elvis 4 times. I get what you're saying. The audience has a different connection, regardless if it's Elvis virtually on a screen, but they get to hear the instrumentation. They get to feel like they're in the audience because they are in the audience, for that type of event. So I hope you get that opportunity. I know EP does numerous events like that, and if they're looking for the best guitar player to do James Burton, I will vouch for you on that one. So hopefully that opportunity might happen even further someday.
Yeah, I hope so too.
I really appreciate the conversation. You've really done an excellent job talking about Elvis as a musician, as a newer generation fan, and appreciate you sharing your journey of Elvis.
Awesome. Well, thanks for having me, and
And thank you for taking care of business. You're doing a great job doing it.
thank you.